Hi beautiful people, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're yet to subscribe, do hit the subscribe button right now and do not forget to like and leave your comments. So today in this tutorial, I'll be teaching us how you can cut and sew a basque bustier top. It's not a corset, okay? Yeah, you could actually have a bustier top and still have boning lines and still have the basque design. Okay, so it's a two-piece, a top and a skirt, but I'll be showing us how to cut and sew just the top, right? So let's get started. Now you need to have a knowledge on how to draft a basic bodice pattern. If you missed that tutorial, I will be dropping the link in the description box on how to do that. It's a very simple tutorial. So I have my front and back patterns. Okay, so first thing first is to determine the neck depth of your off-shoulder top. So from the shoulder line, I'll be coming down by at least 6 inches. So anything below 6 inches, you're going to be moving towards exposing your cleavage, and that is completely optional if you want to, or according to your preference, right? So I'll be coming down by probably 6.5 or 7. Just play around what works for you basically, or try to measure it first. Okay, so I came down by 6.5 inch. Then you can use the curved part of your ruler, or the pattern master, or the straight part to create the neckline. Okay, so if the neck depth at the center front is probably 7, okay, then it should be lower at the armhole. Okay, so if I'm doing 6.5 for the neck depth, I'll probably do 7 or 7.5 on the armhole there. Okay, so my neckline is slightly slanted. Okay, so like I said, you can use the curved part of the ruler or the straight part, whichever one works for you. Okay, so I'll just create my neckline like this. Meanwhile, my shoulder to chest line is about 8 inches, and now I marked about 7 inches there, so I still have a little bit of there's still space. Okay, now whatever you mark on the armhole for the front, you have to also mark the same thing at the back. Okay, so I've marked that. Then I could just link my back straight to the zipper allowance, so it's a bit low, but if you don't want this, you can still bring it up a bit. Okay, so this is my back pattern here, so we don't need here again since it's an off-shoulder top. Okay, same thing for the front pattern. Now I will cut out. Okay, before I do that, for your off-shoulder tops corset, you should do what is called contouring or bust tightening, so that when you bend down to pick something on your seated, you're not struggling to like cover up your boobs. Okay, so I'm trying to zoom the camera so that we can have like a better view of what I'm about to do here. So minimum for the tightening is 1/2 inch on both sides of the line that divides the shoulder over there. So you just take your ruler and then you link this to 1 inch above the bust points. Okay, so I'll just link this way and that way. So this works for bust sizes of 32, 34, probably 36. Anything from bust 38, your bust tightening can increase to 0.75 on both sides, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm just increasing this to 0.75 on both sides of the that line there. Okay, so you can just increase it. So I'm just blending up. So I'm going to cut out that. Yeah, I'm trying to blend up. Then for my bust dart, if you watch the basic body tutorial, okay, the difference between the front pattern and the back is always the width of your bust dart. So for this particular pattern, the difference is just 1 inch. So the width of my bust dart is going to be 1 inch, which means that the width of the bust dart is not always 2 inches. Okay, so this is my bust dart. I suggest you watch the basic body tutorial if what I'm saying is sounding very strange to you. Yeah, you should do that. Now I'm going to separate my front and back patterns, which I have just done. Okay, so yeah, I want to cut out the unwanted part now. So let me just trim off. So like I said earlier, it's not all tops that have bonings that are corsets. You could actually have a bustier with boning lines, which is what I'm going to show us in this tutorial. Okay, so I'm just trimming off the waist dart, the bust dart, and any form of darts I have on my pattern. I'm just trimming it out. So for the basque corsets, we are going to kind of elongate the waistline towards the center front, which is what we're going to do very shortly. But I'm trying to just trim up all my darts. I'll close it up with my masking tape, and then I'm still going to cut out the dart at the top, which I have just done. Okay, so this is my front pattern. Now for the back is pretty simple. I'll just trim off all the excesses I do not need, and this is what is remaining here. Okay, so for the back, you do not need so much boning lines. This one is fine. So this is B1, or center back and side back. Okay, so it's always good for you to label your pattern so that when you're transferring to your fabric, you do not misplace the patterns, right? Because they tend to look alike, especially if you're cutting stuff like corsets. Okay, so I'm just trimming off like so. Good. So this is back, front. Now for the back design, I'm going to close up my front like this. Now after cutting off the darts, you should have quarter of your waist circumference measurement plus 1 inch for side seam. So I've closed my darts there. Now I want to just check if my measurement is still intact. Yeah, cut off my waist is 7.5 plus 1 inch for side seam allowance. So yeah, I'm still safe. Now I'll place another pattern paper under like so and use my masking tape to hold it down. And when I do that, now I want to create the basque design. Okay, so pretty simple. From the original waistline, you can come down by probably at least 3 inch or 4 inch, so that the basque design, it's very obvious. So I'll just mark my 4 inch downwards. Then depending on the shape of the corset, basque, I beg your pardon, some basque design are slanted in nature, some are curvy in nature, some have a U-like shape. Depends on what you want to create. So for this particular tutorial, it's somehow straight a little bit, then it curves in towards the side seam like so. Okay, so you might want to first of all sketch with the pencil, then probably blend up with your pattern master or any of the curved rulers, right? So I want to just blend up like so. So I'm just blending. Mind you, you should draft your patterns with pencil. I'm using marker for tutorial purpose, right? So that we can see the video clearly. So I'm just trimming off. Now you can see that I have elongated the center front, and my side seam length is still intact, right? So now I can now open up the dots. Okay, so I'll just extend here downwards, and then I will take off the tape I added there temporarily, or I'll just cut it off with my scissors. Okay, so let me take off the tape and then open up the dots up to the basque line, right? So let me just trim off, and yeah, I'll cut it off. So at this point, I am ready to transfer my patterns to my fabric. Now I would only be showing us the front pattern, which is the most important thing. We can do the back ourselves, right? So I'll cut this on fold. Okay, add 1/2 inch round. Then for the boning lines, by the time we start the sewing tutorial, I'll show us how to create the boning lines, okay, based on this design that we're working on. So now I'll go ahead and transfer all of this to my fabric. I'll be using satin fabric for this illustration. Okay, it's just for tutorial purpose. So this is my satin for the front. It's on fold. Added my seam allowance round. Same thing for the side panel. Okay, so I'll open up my center front piece and place my 2 side pieces together like so. So now I'll go ahead and sew with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now in the original design, they used denim, that's jean material, so it was more stable and firm than this satin that I'm using. Okay, so now that I've sewn the pieces together, I will first of all notch my center front like so I can know the center of my piece. Then I'll go ahead, open it up. I'll use my bias tape to create the boning casing. Okay, yeah, so this is bias. So now I'm going to sew my bias onto the piece. Then yeah, let me just do that. So I have created the first bone casing. This is the bias. So usually you place your boning inside. I have done several tutorials on how to fix boning in your corset, so you can watch that. I'm just showing you how to create a boning line. Now for the next one, okay, you have an option of using your tracing wheel to trace out the boning design so that it can reflect on the other side, or you can just use your chalk to draw the lines on the fabric, whichever one works for you. Okay, so I'll just use my tracing wheel. The why tracing wheel is good is because it traces exactly at the points where the first one is, so there's no discrepancies in the placement. That's the advantage of using a tracing wheel, or you can just chalk it out. Okay, so you will notice that the next boning line or casing is before the sewing of the bustier. Okay, so I'll just go ahead now and sew it, and I'll show us. So this is it here. You can see, so you can see that it's before the bustier, right? And then it runs towards the center front. Okay, so next one is going to run from after the bustier, then across the bustier like that, and then in a slanted form. Same thing for the other side. Okay, so I'll just do that and then do the last design and show us. So this is how it looks like I said, this is satin, so it might not look as firm as it should look like. Okay, but you can try this out and let me know the outcome. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.